Today is Saturday, October the 6th. I got it right. I got the day of the week and the date right this time. I'm like, I have to stop the show and say I got that right.
It's absolutely a miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle in October. I am Frosthaven. This is Warp Stage 3, and I'm joined by, up here we got Largo.
Does that mean this is the Nightmare Before Elm Street, or
I don't know if that's that's the movie that was made.
probably not? It's not. I mean, obviously, it's not the Nightmare Before Christmas.
And then, of course, down there underneath Largo, we have the Utility Man.
Hey everyone.
So, how have y'all been these past 2 weeks?
Tired.
Tired?
Exhausted.
I can understand that. I feel like we're all like coming back from some military exercise, like boot camp. We're all back and we're just like, oh, I can't breathe.
If you do remember, I did have surgery 2 weeks ago. Like, so I'm just now getting back to normality, and it's a little jarring.
How's the recovery going? You're going pretty good though.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Like I guess you could say normal.
Normal enough
Except
anyway.
except I have another hole in my head, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I mean, you can never have enough holes in your head.
That's what I keep telling everybody I play Quake with.
Actually, Trey was telling me about Unreal. I guess he's wanting to get into Unreal now, and it's so crazy that Unreal's still going on because I played that back in like high school days.
Yeah, I mean, Quake Champions is actually pretty good too. So I guess maybe they're just going on with that.
Yeah, Quake to me was always like the other Doom, right?
I always felt better about Quake than Doom. Like, Doom was just the single player experience where everybody got blown to hell up or blew up every demon in sight.
So before the whole Bethesda thing, I'll put it this way: I preferred the aesthetic of Doom, but I definitely preferred the gameplay of Quake. That's the way I'll look at it.
I just like the speed, the fact that you don't sit around waiting for your life to fucking respawn like a Call of Duty game.
That's true, and I'm trying to remember because in Unreal you could like get frag killed. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, you can get frag killed in Quake too.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
There's an entire game mode built around it because it's fun.
Utility Man, what the hell have you been up to?
This entire week has been nothing but a catch-up week for me. I had a few days where I was not able to do the editing for our streams,
Right.
and I am still trying to catch up because it takes so long to do.
I was just going to ask you if you were caught up or not.
No, I'm not. I need to finish our Wednesday stream tonight after I get Warp Stage 3 up and get that up. And then, I don't know, like, we didn't have anything Thursday, which technically is not the greatest thing. We should try to stream every day, but it makes it a little easier on me.
Right.
And then your Friday stream, which I got to get up.
I mean, you can always skip my streams.
I'm not skipping your stream.
If I wasn't doing Moonlighter for the Fortis channel, I'd say you'd skip my streams too, but that's besides the point.
Nah, I want to get the whole game in there. And I already skipped your Fallout 4 stream. I felt badly enough about that.
Oh, okay. So if I ever want you to not put my streams on YouTube, I'll just make sure to get a whole bunch of nude mods so you can't.
If I have to, I'll just blur the entire stream for the whole time and upload it like that.
How would I even explain that to friends? Like if they come over and see me playing a game and it's like everything, even the walls are nude, right? It's like, well, I have to have them because I'm using them to prevent my video from going on YouTube. Like that will make no sense to them at all.
Well, especially not after you explain to them that it's going on YouTube anyway.
That's fair. That's fair. You're kind of like there's no escaping you when it comes to the streams. Like I try to give you every reason not to put one on YouTube and you're like, "Nope, it's going on YouTube."
Well, you tell me that, but you also said that I shouldn't give people the option to not have their stuff be on YouTube. It should automatically go on there for content.
That's just a case of what I once said coming back to bite me in the ass. That's all that is. So I've been playing a lot of Enter the Gungeon, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Hey, Hidden Spike
Yeah,
Chat.
it seems like your new obsession.
So I watched Allison and Ryan play it. And I mean, this is what, a 2016 game? It's been out for a while, hasn't
Sooner
it?
than that? Yeah,
I thought it was sooner than
I'll
that.
fact check that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Fact check me while I go ahead. But But in any event, I didn't pick this game up when it came out, and I don't know why, because I love Binding of Isaac, I love roguelites, so I figured this is a game that I would love. Well, for whatever reason, maybe I was caught up in other stuff, I never got it, and then Danny, one of our supporters, just randomly gifted me the game after we were watching Utility Man and Hidden Spike Trap play it.
What a bastard.
And I was like, okay, well, I'll just piddle around with it for a couple of minutes before I, do the more important life stuff. And then next thing I know, the moon is coming up outside.
Well, didn't you do the same thing with, what was it, Dead Cells?
Yeah, I did the same thing with Dead
Yeah,
Cells back when it was a difficult game.
By the way, release date April 5th, 2016.
Okay, so I did have that right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's been out
I'm
for a
sure when
minute.
you get all the characters to level 10, you'll move on to something else.
No, and I'll tell you why, because they have Mod the Gungeon and it's open source and you can make any mods you want. So I'm probably going to end up having to make like a Hidden Spike Trap and Utility Man character.
He says, have to make.
Have to make.
Not-
There's no
Now-
option here.
You know, Mila mentioned that to us when we were streaming it, and I looked it up, and while it is very open source, there's not much that's been done with it other than, reskins and stuff.
There's some reskins and I think they have like 2 new playable characters now.
Yeah, but it was kind of disappointing because I expected, you could make a custom setup for each level, or you could change boss patterns, which I guess that was kind of unrealistic given the fact that it's only been out 2 years, but that's what I was thinking.
I'll have to look into it to see exactly what's possible because I'm sure a lot of it's probably just like if you're a developer you can do that stuff, but like an end user just trying to download a mod, there's not a lot there.
Well, if anyone can figure it out, I'm sure it's you.
Yeah, so we'll see. I might actually do that Sunday since I don't have much else going on while I'm at work on Sundays. I'll spend some time researching
Day.
it. So
By someday he means tomorrow.
yep, someday means tomorrow. So there.
First Blizzard soon.
Oh yeah, how are you doing in chat? By the way, Hidden Spike Trap. How are you doing? I heard a rumor that you might have just woken up not long ago.
I heard a rumor that monsters are returning.
Are you talking about real monsters?
I've got my choice weapon right here.
Oh my god.
No, I'm talking about every JRPG ever.
Oh man. I kind of miss real monsters. You remember that with Eek
But
I do. Hidden Spike Trap hasn't seen it.
and Crumb? How is so uncultured? That's all that is. So I guess we could jump into our topics for the day. We got some Fallout 76 updates because we missed a week last week. So we've got a nice collection of tidbits as far as Fallout 76 is concerned. Utility Man is going to be talking about the new Mario Party. I think you got
Which
some
Came
stuff.
out yesterday.
It
I'm
did
getting
come out
into it tonight.
yesterday.
I know that much.
Nice. And then we're going to talk about what it feels like to be a superhero in these games with Largo.
Flex.
Just do the flex. Like,
No, I just wanted to say flex because I'm not going to actually do it.
see, I'll do it because I've got a black shirt, so you can't actually tell where the muscle starts and ends. You see what I mean? So
I mean, it's not like I don't have
you might.
thick arms on the stands.
Yeah, I think you could probably take me in arm wrestling, but I could take you in a gun duel.
I don't know. We could take this to guns or the duel if you want to do that.
Yeah, we could do that. We'll get some duelist pistols. You okay with duelist
Yeah.
pistols?
Yeah, I'm alright with that.
All right.
Just make sure we don't take it to fear because I'll just kill you.
Yep.
Like,
And then the utility man can be the witness to ensure whoever wins.
yeah, he's gonna have the recording that way we can throw it on YouTube.
Yeah, that'll get demonetized. Like, well, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That might actually last for a while. Like, they're
That'll
really
get
weird about demonetization. If you say like weapon, they'll demonetize you. But maybe if you actually kill your best friend, they'll keep it up. Who knows?
Yep.
What's up, Zalbathar, aka Rachel, Southern Songbird?
Wait.
Yeah, I know. I just confused it. So
Zalbathar,
okay.
What?
So what's up, Zalbathar? What's up, Southern Songbird, aka Rachel? I think we need to just start going by simpler names at this point.
I think I need to start calling Zald Rachel at the meetings.
I think so. That sounds like an appropriate thing to do.
So there were some leaks with Fallout 76, some screenshots. You
Did
guys
we
know
plug them?
they had an event not long ago for all the top YouTubers to go in and get like a head start in Fallout 76. They were allowed 3 hours of gameplay time, and it looks like Southern Songbird is not a fan of the Zald being called Rachel.
You mean the Zoldcher? Zoldchill?
Zald chill.
Oh, I'm gonna type in shit.
Rach
I think
Bathar.
she's just upset she's not the only Rachel anymore.
Or no, it'd be like Rabathar. That works. Rabathar. I like it.
I don't know. Rabbithar sounds like a good fantasy name, actually.
It does, doesn't it? Like maybe you guys could work that into your Paragon stuff. So, anyways, how about some screenshot leaks? The Washington Post designated spot here. I don't know what happened or how they got it, but apparently the thing was unattended, and someone got a screenshot. Now, there's not a whole lot going on. You see a UI, looks like 3 people in the party, and you get a nice little peek at the game engine, which seems to be doing a lot better with lighting, and they're doing like it's the same engine as Fallout 4, but a massive increase in the amount of detail that they do. There's a second image down here as well. And is it just me, or does that character like that character looks like that one guy you never want to invite to your parties?
Oh god, it actually looks like Lawrence from Funhouse.
Oh my god, it kind of does, yeah. So we got some leaks, and then the top YouTubers were all invited in for 3 hours. Now on the 8th, which is Monday, 2 days from now, they are opening the floodgates, and the quiet order gets lifted. So on Monday, you can expect over 400 cumulative hours of gameplay, not cumulative, but 400 hours of gameplay to be flooded into YouTube. So we're going to be getting a ridiculous amount of actual gameplay.
So is that that I forget? Is that extending to our gameplay as well? Like our pre-ordered bonus stuff?
No, this is just for from the YouTubers that got invited to the event. And I'll tell you right off, like, I feel really about the way this has gone as far as the transparency. Like when they first released information that Fallout 76 was coming out, you remember on that Warp Stage 3 show, I applauded them. I said they're doing such a great job of at least making sure everyone is in the know. Like I was behind them 100%. And then as we got closer to the beta, it came out like it was almost like a cascade of bad news for us, because it came out that, okay, Xbox is actually going to be in it a week before PC. So there goes our jumping on for covering it on the PC when it launched, because we're going to be a week behind. Then they said, okay, the beta is only going to be a couple of hours per day, and that time shift is going to change each day. I was like, what? How is that? So I know I'm not going to be able to bug test it, since it's a beta. I'm not going to be able to bug test it, because if I come across a bug, I won't have time to sit there and figure out what caused it.
I mean, I've been wrong a lot, but this one occasion I get to say I knew it.
You knew it?
I knew this was going to be a giant mess. Now, obviously, that's great that we're still planning on streaming it. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
But even though I'm not going to be part of that, I'm still pretty mad with how they're doing this.
I feel like they could have done a lot more with the transparency on this all, to tell people what to expect.
The sad thing is, like, I'm not even mad about the transparency. I'm just, because of how they're releasing the beta, how, like, it's not really a beta at this point, but they're saying it's still a beta. Am I right?
It's still okay. So there is one saving grace with it, in that, as we know, the industry's kind of destroyed what beta even means. That's the one thing they're doing right, is they're actually using it for testing purposes. It's not like a pre-release like we initially thought. So at least they're defining beta properly.
Yeah, but I mean, my 2 cents, not 2 cents, but my feelings on it is just like, why is it not being online regularly for everyone to actually do the stress test and everything? Like, they're doing it in the waves where nobody can actually test it, right?
That's what
Like
it
during
feels
the
like.
workday.
That's what it seems like for me. Like, had I known that this was going to be the schedule for the beta, I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably would not have pre-ordered the game. I would have waited until it launched after all the footage of the gameplay came out, and I could, at that point gauge whether I liked it or not. But that leads into the bigger question here, because I'm noticing a trend where it feels like, and I'm not saying this is the case. I don't want to put it out there that I'm making this as a claim. But here's what it feels like. It feels like so many times before where we would see companies try to slow burn a game into its release knowing it was not going to be received well. Think about it. Like, you're giving only the top YouTubers only 3 hours each to look at the game before it gets in everyone's hands. So that's limiting your coverage online. Here's something else to consider. These top YouTubers have a huge following that is all Fallout. More power to them. I love some of these guys. Like Oxhorn is phenomenal. I've been following Oxhorn for a long time. And he's got a huge following. So would they actually say something negative about the game? Because if they do, they risk losing in the future. Bethesda might say, oh, last time we did a pre-release with that person, they trash-talked the game. Let's not do it again. So there's an incentive to be positive and uplifting about the game, even if maybe it's not the best. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Yeah. Actually, my thoughts on it. Now, I assume the 3 hours a day at various times to allow more people to try the game because not everyone's going to have the same amount of time.
Well, just to clarify I think that it was like between 4 to 8 hours, depending, is the terms used.
Okay, between 4 to 8 hours, which 8 hours would not be bad, but when it seems like they're limiting this so much, I'm kind of having flashbacks of Sonic Forces, because before that came out, they tried so hard to limit what we would see of the game before release because they knew it was bad.
Exactly.
When it came out, it confirmed everyone's fears. It's a bad game.
And that's where my fear is.
That worries me.
Now, like I said, I'm not saying it's the case. What I am saying is, if they did build a game that maybe wouldn't be received well, this is the perfect way of doing damage control before it's launched. Like, there's no better way to do it. You limit who has access to it. You give them an incentive to talk good about it, which is, hey, we'll keep giving you this early access being popular. And that way, everyone still retains that hype up until launch day when the truth gets out.
See,
well, go ahead.
I don't agree with the company practice for that, but that is probably one of the smarter moves for them to do it. Since I don't put it past them from trying it, because this is their technical first. This isn't really the real way to say this, but it's their real first MMO.
Well, they had Elder Scrolls Online.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, as far as like the Fallout franchise go,
taking gunplay into MMO format. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah. Honestly, not many other games have tried to really go for gunplay into MMO. In a non or in a more real time combat scenario.
Wasn't Overwatch initially supposed to be that, and they changed that and made it into the arena shooter instead?
Well, we don't know if it was supposed to be a gunplay version of an MMO. It was supposed to be drastically different than WoW, but it was supposed to be another just standard. I don't even know really standard, but another MMO in general. Not much is known about Project Titan though.
It's still under wraps.
If I recall correctly.
Zalbathar says, stealing Frost's words, I think it'll be a good game in like a year, Kappa. So that's the other side of the coin here. I don't necessarily... I'll tell you what my assumption is and what my prediction is. My prediction is the game is not bad. That's the first prediction I have. My prediction is that the game is empty. And I'll tell you why I think that. I think that the game is empty. think about it this way. Bethesda makes these crazy massive frameworks with, the modders go crazy on them. To this day, there's still new mods coming out for Fallout 4. They make these massive frameworks that are full of bugs. You've got the unofficial patch for every Bethesda game that's been moddable, an unofficial patch that fixes everything. You don't have that now. You don't have modding on day one. What does that mean? It means Bethesda needs to make sure there are no bugs. How do you do that without scaling down what your framework is capable of? Think about it. No humans in the world? This might be a side effect of scaling it back.
Now, I'm going to say this too, that it is still a Fallout scenario, and I don't mean that as in the game Fallout. I mean, it's supposed to be the standard Fallout scenario.
Yeah.
Not much is meant to be alive.
That's true.
So, to portray that, there's not going to be a whole lot in the world. Since this is going to be an online-only scenario, modders aren't going to be able to get to this without allowing cheats and stuff in.
Right. It's going to be coming with private servers.
They're going to have to be on top of. So, if the game already has nothing in it, and Bethesda's not going to put anything in it because they think, oh, well, because their standard procedure for this is the modders will take care of a lot of the side stuff for us, but they can't this time. Are they overlooking that?
I don't think so. I think what they're doing, and again, this is all the world of speculation. I think what they're doing is giving us an empty sandbox with very minimal things in it to ensure there are no bugs. And they've already said they want to do a weekly or monthly update cycle on the game. So I think they're scrapping everything, starting from scratch, starting small in a manageable code base, and they're going to grow it over time. So I would imagine they're going to be adding features like Zald said, in echoing of something I said a while back. I think after a year, Fallout 76 is going to be a completely different game than it is at launch. I think they're giving us the stick and they're going to add the candy as they go.
But that can really backfire on you, though. First impressions are a huge thing.
Which would explain the controlled burn of what we're allowed to see before launch, wouldn't it?
I mean, unless they do know that the game is bad and they just don't want us to know before we buy it, but...
So that's the prediction. That's the prediction I'm going with. I think Fallout 76 is going to have a massive amount of potential, but I think that there's not going to be much there on launch. That's my prediction of where I stand. I mean, in 2 days we'll see gameplay and we'll know for sure.
That really hurt Street Fighter V.
Yeah. Apparently people really liked arcade mode. I never cared about it, but apparently that's a big part of the game. So,
I mean, as far as fighters go, the arcade mode is kind of like the standard slapstick on there, just for practice and bullshit. But
yeah,
I mean, the real scenario of any fucking fighting game is the multiplayer. Why do I not want to beat up my friends?
So, we've got a couple of tidbits of facts that came out just between the last show and this one. So I just want to rapid fire through them, get your opinions on it. All right. So as you know, you can nuke an area. You can unlock the nuclear codes and nuke an area and make it a higher level area, right? Someone asked the question, does it matter? What's the difference if I nuke a low level town versus a high level town? Like, is there going to be a difference? And the response from Pete Hines was that, it's going to be hard, but the difficulty is going to be about the same. Which leads me to realize, okay, so does it even matter where you choose the nuke if it's just going to be the same? Like, this is the nuke zone now? Why have the choice if there's going to be no difference?
So I think the question is, like, if you knew, okay, say you had the difference is a level 1 zone to a level 20 zone. Okay, if you nuke the level 20 zone, is it just going to go to 25? Or if you nuke the level 1 zone, is it just going to go to 6? Like,
No.
Is it just a +5 scenario?
No.
Or is it...
It's a set. It's a set. Here's the nuke zone. It's going to use the nuke zone level list. There is no interaction with what you nuked. It's just you're basically taking a high level zone and plopping it wherever you want on the map. Which to me is like... It feels like it diminishes the reason to have a choice of what you're going to nuke. Why not just make it like the Green Sea in Fallout 4 at that point?
Is it going to be a permanent change, or is it going to go return back to the whatever zone it used to be?
All changes will undo themselves after several hours on the server instance. And that
Okay,
includes things
so
like items and houses and whatnot that you're going to be competing with others to loot first.
because you see, my worry about if you nuke the zone and it just being indefinitely higher every time, if what's the point of nuking the same nuked zone then? You know, like why if it's a 4 quadrant system, if you're going to nuke zone 2, why would you ever nuke zone 2 again to bring it to the new level? In turn, if you wound up nuking all 4 zones, then any new player is just screwed because they're not going to be able to do anything at all.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm sure. I mean, they haven't really discussed how many places can be nuked at once. I would imagine that's going to be limited, probably by the server instance. So I feel like it would probably be a safe bet that you're only going to have one nuked area. It was a little unfortunate to know that there's not really going to be a difference in difficulty based on what you nuked. That was kind of unfortunate, but maybe that'll be something they improve down the way. I don't know.
I hope so. Like, because I feel like there's not doing a whole lot for 76 at this point, but then again, I don't know what the gameplay is going to really be in the end. I don't really. Obviously, you're the one following it, not necessarily me or Utility. So.
Well, it was just one of those things because even if you haven't been following it, they made a big deal out of work with your friends to get the nuclear codes and launch a nuclear missile. Like that was like one of their big selling points for the longest time. So everyone, not just me, but everyone probably heard something to that effect. So to learn that the choice of what you nuke doesn't seem to matter, I don't know. To me, for all mechanical purposes, you could accomplish the same thing by just having a set nuked zone like the Green Sea. So we'll see. And then, of course, the other thing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, if still that's the case, why even let people have the nuke codes outside of it just being a fun side objective to do, instead of just randomly actually dropping the nuke and having just a random zone in the world be what's the increased zone? You know, it's technically the same effect, except with the nuke codes you can pick and choose for your own convenience, I guess.
Yeah.
But how many nuke codes are actually going to be active in the world at any given point in time? Is it only going to be 1? Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be, however many can spawn at any given point in time? Can I nuke the entire map?
That'd be cool. Well, you'll probably have to wait till mods, though, for something like that.
Well, as we said, there's not going to be mods because it is an MMO type scenario.
Yeah, until probably years down the line, a year or two.
Yeah, I mean, someone's going to have their own private server type thing eventually.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we also touched on the items. So I know in the past, in a previous show, we talked about instanced loot. So if we all kill one big mob, we'll all get our own loot to gain. So that way you can't steal my loot, I can't steal yours. However, world loot, what Pete Hines called placed loot. And that's going to be things like maybe a thing of duct tape placed on a desk inside of a settlement somewhere. That stuff, once looted, is gone and it goes to the looter. And then it doesn't respawn for several hours. And he says he's not going to tell us how many hours that is. But I know gamers. Eventually, someone's going to have it all on a clock. And they'll just, every time they join a new map, just go around and get all the best stuff on the clock. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to happen.
I have a feeling... Is it? Did we say if it's going to wind up being private servered? Like, is this all going to be dedicated servered, or is this peer-to-peer hosting kind of thing going to go on?
I don't know that they were. I think that it's hosted servers by Bethesda.
So dedicated servers
with the ability of joining whatever server your friends are on, but
so.
The concept of seeing a server menu, I think maybe they're not going to have that. They're going to hide that.
Yeah, I mean, it's easily hidden, but it's going to come up to the question of how many servers are there going to be for different maps.
Right.
I mean, and I'm saying are they going to have 12 where everyone that's playing the game is crammed into one of these 12 maps, and then swapped over for friends and whatnot, or is it going to be just randomly generated however many they need at the given point in time based on server load. So if one map carries 8 people, is that after 8, is it going to spawn another map?
Oh, I
You know what I
got you.
mean?
Is it like a dynamically growing server farm?
And the reason I ask this is because in the end, how do I put it? Like, I know in WoW, people made mods so that it tracks on your server, when certain things spawn.
Yep.
So, like, when every mining node respawns when it's been taken, because they have something that's eating the source code from there, that's just online. You can just look it up anyway, and it says, oh, yeah, this mine's ready. This boss just is spawned, and you can just go to it and find it.
Right.
So I'm wondering how long it's going to be until someone does that, because that's not in the game. That's just something on the side, outside of the game, as a mod.
If I had
so that
to
they
guess,
can track that duct tape.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would imagine the way they're approaching it is probably all the stuff in the houses and whatnot is going to be like, loot, whatever, like duct tape and stuff. And I bet you the good stuff is probably going to come from monster kills rather than stuff that's placed around the world. That's probably how they're going to approach it if I had to, like, make a guess there.
Oh god, I just thought about how it's. Doesn't Fallout have a stealth mechanic too, where if you crouch, you're in stealth, sort of, or is that just?
It does. You're hidden. They do have stealth boys to actually go invisible, but there is a stealth mechanic. Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be in 76.
I'm about to say, I don't know if that's going to work in 76 because of how the player models work. No. Obviously, you can program NPCs to say, "Oh, I don't see him because he's hidden because he's crouching." But if you just crouch in front of somebody, can't they still just see you? Like, is that how that's gonna work?
I'm sure.
The guy's looking dead at you. Like, are you on the screen even? Do you have a high enough stealth check?
Well, I mean, if you look at what they did with VATS, which was turn it into a real time thing with no slowdown, I think they probably cut that kind of gameplay out. If I'm being honest with you, because there's no way, right, to make that work. They probably have stealth packs still there.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the stealth boy is actually turning you invisible still, but I was just wondering if crouching was gonna give you like a minor version of that, sort of.
I could see the hidden mechanic working against mobs, right? Like if you have a party, I could see, okay, everybody, we need to sneak this over here, get over here now before they see you. I could see that working, and hopefully that's in there, but definitely not in player versus player. That'd be crazy if they had anything like that.
I know, it'd be silly. Like all of a sudden you're in a gunfight, shoot at the guy, and then all of a sudden he crouches and just vanishes from your screen. It's like, where did he go?
So now I want to talk about two issues that have come up in hypothetical conversations on Twitter, and Pete Hines' response to both is, I don't think it'll be a problem, basically. So that's a scary response to get. So here's the issues. The first one, Zalbathar talked about this with Trey a while back. Zalbathar had this idea, and someone proposed it to Pete Hines. So there's a murder mechanic. If you kill someone who didn't want to fight you, you become a murderer.
Yeah.
And now if someone kills you, you drop your bottle caps as the reward for the killer.
The fiends.
So here's the exploit to that. You get a friend to play with you, and you just grieve whoever else is on the server as much as possible, and anytime you get murder status, you just have your friend kill you and give you your bottle caps back. Pete Hines' response, I don't think people are going to do that. That's a lot to go through. Let me tell you.
Joking, right?
People will go through a lot to grieve other players. I mean, I remember way back in PSO, which it was not a PvP game by any stretch, people found a specific way to raise a mag so that instead of healing everyone, it like instant killed everybody on your party because of an integer overflow. People spent months perfecting that just to kill people. If you're telling me that it's too much work to have a friend kill you and give you your bottle caps back, have I got news for you. You do not know players who want to grieve like I know them.
And I don't think you understand how friends work. They're not getting those bottle caps back.
They're not getting what back?
They're not getting their bottle caps back even after that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So all you have to do to completely override the entire murder mechanic is just have a friend. Maybe
Damn, where do I get one of those?
maybe they're counting on most people not having friends. That could be
Then
it.
going into MMO territory is the worst idea.
Yeah, no kidding. So here's the second bit. Someone asked, if I put my camp down and log out for a second and then come back, what happens if someone else built their camp in that spot that I just was? So you build a camp, you log out, someone goes to where you were because now your camp's not there and builds, and then you log back in. What happens? And the simple result is whoever last built it wins, essentially. So even if you get disconnected, someone can go to where you had your camp and then just put their camp down and claim the land you were just on, essentially. And Pete Hines' response hasn't really come up a lot in our play testing. I think it'll be rare. You think it'll be rare? People will be waiting for that
They will
log
do that
out.
on purpose.
Yeah, they would do that on purpose.
It's just, how do I express this? Not only will people be waiting kind of for it, you'll have a friend that does that to them.
Yeah.
Like, that guy will know, like, Ryan's gonna log out. I'm like, all right, see you later, Ryan. He logs out. All right.
Yep.
I can't. Mine.
Zalbathar says he's going to do that on purpose as much as possible to us.
A lot of people will.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure if you were to play this game, Utility, I'm sure you and Hidden Spy Trap would be doing that to each other constantly.
Definitely. I think they have a very flawed perception of how people play MMOs with one another. People are going to find ways to exploit. They're going to find a way to be a dick to another player. This is just what people do. That happens in every MMO.
And the more interesting you make it, the more mechanically deep you make it, the more they're going to want to do it. Like that mag that took people months of researching to figure out exactly how to do right. People want to do it because then you've made grieving an achievement. But that just speaks to the bigger problem with Fallout 76, and this is where I think they're going to struggle. They want this game to be great for PvEers. They want this game to be great for PvPers. You're not going to make either party happy. Like between the slap mechanic, where PvP doesn't count unless they shoot back, the fact that you can fast travel while being shot at. So like, oh, I'm almost dead, fast travel out. It's like pulling the cord. I mean, there's so many ways to make PvP not fun while equally making PvE not fun. It's like, what are you doing? You've got to pick and choose one or the other. You've got to have PvE servers or PvP servers. I don't see this working the way they want it to.
I don't either. Then again, I don't really see the game turning out the way they actually want either. So internal testing's great, but internal testing is usually just trying to find as many bugs as possible, not necessarily trying to figure out what the populace is actually going to do. That's what beta's for. And that's not what they're going to get in beta because they're not having the servers open long enough.
It's like I said a million times. In software engineering, if something can be exploited, it will. It is only a matter of when, not if. And you've got to go into this expectation. And yes, Hidden Spy Trap, you can fast travel in combat. So people are going to have their Pip-Boy clicks ready for if they get into a fight, they're not going to be able to win. Guaranteed.
Oh my god, who's going to be the fastest menuer to get out of fucking death?
Yeah, no kidding.
1 HP.
Yeah. So if someone
back to my settlement. Oh shit, Trey actually built on top of it.
So you can't get the jump on anybody because you're going to be doing like no damage to them unless they fight you back. So there goes stealth. There goes melee. So and then
Wait,
huh?
Can I macro from my clicks to just have a button on my keyboard to automatically fast travel me back home?
Probably. That's what they did in Path of Exile. Like,
because if I can do it in combat, then I might as well just go press M1 on my keyboard and be back at home.
And that's just what I'm saying. If you make it possible, people are going to do it. Like in Path of Exile in hardcore mode, which is like you die once, you're dead, you're done, you're gone. Your character's deleted. People found a way of playing that where they can macro the logout. So like if they think they're about to die, they'll macro the logout and keep playing as if they never made a mistake, which I disagree with that mentality, but people are going to do it.
If you're gonna
I
play
remember,
hardcore, you might as well actually play hardcore.
see, I remember people trying to do that in World of Warcraft. They get into a fight with you, they're about to lose, they log out. Their character's gone.
Yep.
If they alt F4 though, they still died.
Now you don't even have to log out though. You just go to the next town over real quick.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
no,
they
I'm just saying,
do
like,
still die, thankfully.
if they did that in WoW, their character just stood there because you had a solid minute after you alt F4 for your character to still be alive right there in front of people.
Well, there was a bug at one point that lets you log instantly that needed to be fixed.
Here's a
I mean,
question
you
from
could,
Zaldbathar.
if you were in town, you could do it without having a problem. So if people were attacking the town, yeah, you could log out immediately. But
Yeah, but this lets you do it whenever. Like, you just Alt F4, your character's gone.
Zald says, will they make it so you log in and out of all servers in the same spot? In DayZ, we used to do that. Leave during combat, go to a different server, walk behind them, go back, kill them from behind. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to remember where you logged out. It probably will, but that's just it. You don't even have to log out. You just teleport to the next town. And it doesn't take long in a fight to know who's dishing out more damage. So if I wanted to be super safe, I'll get into a fight with somebody, and if I notice my health bar is going down a little bit faster than theirs, I don't have to wait till I'm about to die either. I can just casually open it up and teleport away. The beta is going to be 45 gigabytes, which is about what you'd expect. 45 to 50 seems to be the target storage space for games these days. And now for the last bit of information is the microtransactions are going to be running on an in-game currency known as Atom. So it's not going to be, oh, that's a nice power armor paint job, let me buy that. It's going to be, oh, that's a nice power armor paint job, let me buy the stack of Atom points so that I can then buy it. So my prediction...
that seems to be a common thing these days, because I mean, even Destiny 2 has that silver that you could buy.
Especially Destiny 2.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they're just taking the note from things like Riot and any other MOBA kind of sort of these days, that they have their own in-game currency. So you're buying that currency, you're not actually buying the item, and then you're using that currency, so you can't basically do chargebacks for just that, sort of, I guess.
What frustrates me about it is a mobile phone game platform. That's what that comes from. It comes from mobile phone games, which everyone knows have been nothing but greedy. So my prediction on that is you'll see a paint job you really want. Let's say it cost 75, and then the lowest stack of Atom points you can buy is probably going to be like 100. You know what I mean? So that you always have leftover, and you can never buy exactly what you want. You have to overpay for what you want. That's why you use an in-game currency rather than having a direct purchase in the first place.
Yeah, and what makes that worse is a lot of people are going to see that little bit they have left, and they're going to end up buying more just to try to get rid of that.
Yep, because they want to try to zero it out. People do that.
Yep.
I mean, I don't care about that, but I know a lot of people do care about that number.
I don't care either. I kind of like having the extra change for if a future thing comes up. I don't need to buy quite as much either, you know?
I think
obviously in like Heroes of the Storm, where you buy the gems, you know, they give you discounts for having certain things done already. So like in the bundle packs.
I think my biggest concern with it, I mean, I don't have a problem with microtransactions when they're cosmetic in the Fallout sense, because it makes sense for the rest of the world to be kind of drab as it is. Things are not going to look extravagant. If you want to look extravagant, you pay money. It makes sense in Fallout. I'm okay with the microtransactions, but my biggest problem is whenever something gives me that hint of being dishonest. Give you an example of the kind of things I'm thinking about. Like when people say it's $9.99 instead of $10, because there's psychology behind it that makes you think 9 instead of 10. That is what I consider dishonest, and forcing you to overpay on points so you have leftover. It is an effective strategy, but it just feels so dishonest that I can never be happy about it.
I can agree with that. That's always bothered me too.
I mean, even if it's a completely...
You have Walmart that's $9.96 just
right.
so they can say they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Those rollback prices. Gotta get them.
Yep. And I mean, it's the same thing. Like, you look at that and you say, wow, it is cheaper. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking, I almost don't want to buy it just because they're using this psychology tactic, hoping I'm not picking up on what they're doing, but I know exactly what they're doing. They're not getting away with anything. And then it just frustrates me. And then I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather spend the 4 cents extra by going somewhere else.
And then you wind up buying it from them anyway.
No, now I sold my soul to the Amazon demons. Now I just buy everything off of Amazon.
That's just about what I'm doing right now.
So you don't feel the need to zero out in-game currency, but when you purchase something outside a game, it has to be that zero at the end, it's like $10 even.
No,
$15.
it could be $9.96. But if they say it's $9.96 and they give you any inclination to believe that somebody somewhere sat down and said, hey, you know what we can do? With like the cheesy hand rubbing, we can make it seem like 9 instead of 10 by taking 4 cents off. Like, if you can believe that to be true, then it instantly becomes like a dark transaction that I don't want anything to do with anymore.
Activate excellent evil plan E.
Yeah, like it's legitimately some like Mr. Burns strategy. Excellent.
I mean, really, Walmart's not any better. I take 3 cents off just so I can say it's cheaper. Well, yeah, it's cheaper, but I see what you're doing.
Yeah. So overall, it was a lot of information with Fallout. I'm actually in a worse place now with the game than when they were doing all the interviews at first. I was actually kind of getting hyped over, and now I'm back in reality land, and I'm thinking, okay, the game's probably going to be kind of empty. There's probably not going to be a lot going on, and we're going to rely on playing with friends to have fun. And if you don't have friends to play with, you're probably not going to enjoy it. That's where my mind is right now. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but again, in 2 days, we get to find out for sure, as we get to see everybody's gameplay uploaded to YouTube. So that'll be good. What's up, D-Maze?
They're probably hoping nobody will have friends at this point, because then nobody can exploit the murder mechanic, which is going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Literally everybody.
I guarantee you there were so many like people of the top YouTubers out there already exploiting stuff. I guarantee it.
I'm sure. I find that hilarious. I don't think that'll be a problem. That, to me, is just kind of code for, oh, well, we didn't think of that.
Yeah, like Behinds put it in text. He's like, I don't think that's going to be an issue. And then when he got off his computer, turned around to the dev team and he said, guys, we're in a world of shit.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. And then everybody outside and his dead grandmother is going to come in and make it a problem.
So what do you think of my prediction? Fallout 76 is going to launch empty, not bad, just empty, lacking features, and then after a year it'll be a completely different game from launch. How likely do you think that is? Do you think that's a good prediction?
I agree in a year the game will be drastically different than it is now. But at launch, I think it's going to wind up as garbage trash.
Really? So you're not even going the empty route. You're saying it's going to be just a bad game.
They're not going to live up to the promises that they've given, and the hype is what's over-influencing the game right now. That's my prediction, though.
So you think like the controlled burn, where they're very carefully selecting who gets to see it to put it in the best light, you think that's going to backfire?
I think the game is going to wind up being DOA, sort of. Like, it'll at least take them probably 2 months to fix part of the problems, and by then, nobody will care anymore.
It may end up...
It might actually be a solid game, but I don't feel like they're going to support it well enough that on launch, not on beta, it's going to be done.
So you think it's going to end up being like WildStar? Because that's how WildStar happened. It had a huge amount of hype. The game came out, wasn't all it was cracked up to be, lost all of its subscribers after the first month, ended up failing miserably, coming back free-to-play and being an amazing free-to-play game, but everyone was so burned from launch that it didn't succeed. And we know WildStar is going to be closing soon. Even though now it's a good game, they burned their bridges at launch.
That's kind of how I feel like it's going to wind up being, but that's,
Hope for the best, at least.
Yeah, no. Again, it's kind of like how Destiny has now burned me entirely. Like I don't, I don't even recommend it to people anymore,
Destiny?
just because of the stuff they've done. Like the lack of content that they put out in the first game, and then once again in the second game, the reusing of whole assets, whole areas, and not even actually adding new content with the extras.
Yep.
Like, come on. I'm I'm tired of companies doing that kind of shit. Like, not actually polishing their game to what it should be to hold up to the promises that they do.
I think we're in a good time though, because they've been doing that for a long time now. Pretty much ever since games went digital, they realized, oh, we can patch games live. That means we can release it in a really shitty state and just work on it as we go. I think we're getting to the point where the general population of players have had enough, and you're starting to see it with the drop of EA stocks and other companies that are in this
Well,
stuff. People are fighting back.
I'm just saying, the drop of EA stocks does not surprise me in the least, though. It is EA.
It is.
That
EA.
should have happened a long time ago.
So let's jump on into our second topic here. This one, it's a party. It's a little bit more than Fallout 76 post-nuclear. So we go from like the world has ended to let's throw a party. New Mario Party. Utility Man, tell me about this.
You didn't even ask me what I thought of 76.
Your opinion doesn't count. Okay, what do you think of 76? And then we'll move on.
So, two things. First off, I'd like to know how all the people on the same team got the same jersey number in those images. Because I didn't think that was possible.
Okay.
They're all player 76. How do you do that?
So Utility Man is not a Fallout guy, by the way, so, in case that didn't give it away. So just so you know, Utility Man, in the world of Fallout, they all come from vaults, and every vault has a uniform that matches the vault number. So that's why they're all wearing the same uniform. They're all from Vault 76.
Well, that doesn't sound very interesting when every single team is called the Vaults.
Oh man, they could make this the worst case scenario where literally that is the only armor you get unless you spend money. Okay, let me not give them ideas. Moving on to Mario Party.
Second thing.
No, we're done here.
No, I gotta get this out here.
Okay.
So, Frost, I don't think you really want the features that you say you want for this game. You just want something that functions like those features.
And what do you give me an example?
You don't really want Magneto. Nova has the same triangle jump. That's good enough.
Oh.
You don't want Magneto.
Oh, you're going to you always have to bring in if you don't bring up Infinite in some way, then it's not Warp Stage 3. I like the way you snuck it in there, man. You use the stealth mechanic that Fallout 76 most assuredly won't have. Good job.
Thank you. Okay.
Like Kirby.
Super Mario Party. If we can call it Super.
That's not a good start.
No, not a good start. So, when I first saw this game announced, I had basically the same concerns that I had before because I was a very avid follower of Mario Party from 1 to 8.
Marty Party? That's what I heard.
It's Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, where we're going, we don't need dice.
Yeah, where's Back to the Future Part 4?
Anyway, so what's the deal here?
So, 9 came along, and it sucked. I mean, let's just be blunt about it. It sucked.
Right.
10 came out, and it sucked. So we were kind of at the point where we thought, they wouldn't learn anything. So Super Mario Party was announced. I immediately expected the same thing, but as the weeks went by and they showed more of it, glimmers of hope started to come to me. It looked like they were going back to the traditional format, and they are to an extent. While it is the original play style, the game's actually pretty limited.
Really? Limited in what way? And is Bowsette in it?
No Bowsette.
Yeah, I'm boycotting.
Actually, Nintendo responded to the whole Bowsette thing saying they're aware of it, but have no comment.
It looks like Largo might have Might have picked it up.
I already said I was doing it. I didn't care.
I thought you were
No,
going to go
like,
out and buy it after the show. I didn't know you already had
No,
it bought.
I have it. I'm intending to actually get into it with a couple friends in a little while. After the
Okay.
show.
Yeah. Now, I will say, while I do feel like the game is lacking, I would still buy it. So,
Is it still better than the last two?
yes, by far.
Look, we can turn this into the unboxing version of Warp Stage 3 as well. So go ahead.
Like, I mean, I would not say it's one of the best Mario parties, but it is leaps and bounds ahead of 9 and 10. Like, completely different classification. So, right from the start, the two major things of Mario Party are the mini games
Yep.
and the boards.
Yep.
And both things were kind of ruined in 9 and 10. As we've mentioned in previous ones, in 9 and 10, all four of your characters were in the stupid little car, and you went down the singular path, and it was terrible.
There was no nuance to it.
Right. It's like everybody wants to go out and do their own thing, but you can't. You're all forced to be on the same space.
Nice
And that to me is not a
box art.
board game.
Looks
So
like they're on a
Super
Mario track.
Party comes in, they get rid of the cars. That's the first good thing they could possibly do.
I wish
They
Crash
bring
Bandicoot
back-
would... Not Crash Bandicoot. I wish Banjo-Kazooie would do that and get rid of the cars and go back.
That's a Microsoft character, though.
It didn't used to be. It's still a rare character to me. Microsoft destroyed Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All
I
right.
agree with that.
So no cars is definitely better.
No cars, definitely better. So, yeah, you can all four go your own ways. You can get your 4-player mini games, your 2 versus 2, your 1 versus 3, exactly what people like. However, right from the start, there is the issue of limited availability.
Wait, what?
Mario Party 1 came out with 8 boards.
Right?
Then 2, 3, 4, and 6, just to focus on those, all had 6, 5 had 7. This game has 4 boards, one of which you have to unlock.
So 3 base boards and then 1 hidden board.
Right. Which is already a huge downward step there in the amount of content. And if you look at these boards, which, here, I'll show you one real quick if you want to put it up.
Yeah.
They're a good bit smaller than the boards we're used to. I mean, I've been listening to some people who have reviewed the game, and they've said it's not too rare of an occurrence for people to move enough spaces to get 2 stars in one turn.
That looks like a Bomberman arena. Like in
It's
its
not
size.
very big.
Wow. It's very basic. Like I remember
That is... What?
classic. See, I played Mario Party like way back in the day. I haven't really kept up with it. But I remember in the old Mario parties, like there was like hills and valleys and rivers and all this stuff going around. And now it's like that almost looks bland for a board.
I agree. I mean, they did do a really good job with presentation on the mini games. We'll give them credit there, but the boards are very lacking. That's the first board, and it's bigger than the unlockable board.
Really? Well, okay, I can understand it being kind of flat and whatnot for like a first board. Do we know if the other boards are like exotic at all, or are they also just kind of flat?
Okay, actually, since you mentioned that, here is another one, which this is a more tropical style board, but you'll notice kind of the same issue. It's not very travel oriented, I guess you could say. It's still a lot of flat zones.
Yeah, I don't like it. Because I mean they're it seems like they're turning it into a more of an actual board for like a board
Yes.
game. But
That would be fine if it were.
you're using a video game though. The whole reason board games are flat are not because it wouldn't be cool to have 3 dimensions, but because it's a limitation of board games. It makes no sense to have something not flat. It makes more sense to just like paint mountains on the flat landscape. But if you're in a game, there's no reason not to use 3 dimensions, and it looks like they're really scared to do that. That worries me.
Yeah, it's kind of like they tried changing the way the game works without straying too far from the original content. But the problem there is, even though I can see the potential, you make the board smaller, there's more chance of a comeback mechanic, but you're also really limiting the variety. Because when I think of the Mario Party boards, I think, okay, well, this space here has like a river that flows all the way to the other side. This space has train tracks that pushes players. There's all sorts of things to do on the board, and this just is very limited.
So here's the question I have then, because there's no arguing they definitely simplified the overworld board. There's no way to say they didn't. Whether you're a fan or not, it's definitely simplified in comparison. So the question I have is, how do they make up for simplifying the board? What do they do better now at the cost of having a more simple board? Like the mini games, is there anything different about the characters now?
Here's hoping that mini games are different. Like obviously they're going to be different, but hopefully the mini games have some more substance to them. But this is something that I was surprised on. It's even just written on the back of the case. Choose the right dice block for you. Apparently, every character has, or take a chance on a character-specific dice blocks with unique highs and lows. So every character is actually different to play in the game now instead of how it was before.
That's cool. I like that.
It's not just a full even playing field. So there's probably going to be tiers of characters.
Yeah, so I'll kind of explain that real quick. Yeah, so every character has your basic 1 to 6 dice block. Then they all have a character-specific dice block that only they can use. Like, for example, Luigi's dice block might be a 2, 4 threes, and a 4. And then you have, like, Bowser's dice block, which will have, like, 3 tens, but also minus 3 coins on it.
Well,
So if you want to take the risk, you can do that.
I don't know if you can see it on here, but it looks like Bowser's dice block has 8s and 10s on it.
Yeah.
At least
But
I'm trying to get rid of the glare. There you go.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Yeah.
I'm trying to get now focus.
Yeah, so you can take that risk, but also you risk losing coins and moving 0 spaces. So it's definitely an interesting addition.
I like that a
throughout
lot.
the game. Oh yeah, I love that. They added ally spaces, which if you land on that, you can pick any of the other characters that weren't chosen as an ally, and you get their dice block as well. So it adds a lot of variety.
Now, I can also say that this actually has online functionality as well.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I'm not sure how in-depth it's going to be, but it says, take the party online. Play mini games online against rivals all over the world.
Play mini games.
I was actually gonna save talking about the online for last, but
All
since
right.
you brought it up, we can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Well, we're just on a subject, try to get into how it's going to be different than any other Mario Party.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Well,
I'm not even going to get into the fact that as they showed on the trailer, you could put multiple Switch systems next to each other and play unique mini games to that.
Right.
So,
Right. Okay, so online is a fairly new concept with Mario Party. Obviously, the original ones did not have it. So this was a feature a lot of people were really looking forward to. However, it has the same problem with variety. You cannot play any of the boards online.
What?
You cannot play any of the boards online.
So it's just the mini games?
It's just the mini games, and it's only 10 of them.
wait, only 10?
Only 10.
That seems like an awkward pick.
Maybe they're waiting to like completely finish launching their Nintendo Online service, and they'll tie the rest of it to
Uh,
Nintendo Online. I can see them doing that. That's so bad.
That would be terrible.
That's so bad.
I guess one good side of this, at least, is even if they did only release the game with 4 maps and 80 or so mini games. I don't know where I'm getting 80 yet. No, 80 new mini games.
Yeah, 80 new.
Maybe they have more than that still on there, like old ones brought back. It is still a modern day console. They can still update it. They can still add DLC.
I mean, that's true. Right now, I haven't heard that they have any plans.
Oh wait,
But I would be surprised if they didn't add something to this, because after we've been waiting so long to get a real Mario Party again, they don't want to mess this up.
Now, actually, D Mason Chad actually brings up an interesting thing because if this is true, he said I heard that they will rotate like Splatoon maps.
How does Splatoon
So,
maps rotate,
I have
Logo?
heard that.
well,
I don't know if that's
Splatoon
true.
maps rotate like every 3 or 4 hours because you can only play 2 maps at any given point in time.
Okay.
Like, and it's RNG which one you play. So maybe the game only launched with 4, but then they add more in, and certain days of the week you can play certain maps. I guess.
Well,
Or maybe he's talking about like the online mini games. Like,
I
yeah,
think
you can
he's
only play
talking about the
10
mini
right
games.
now, so it'll rotate out of those 10 and be other ones later. Every couple hours.
I have heard some talks of them rotating mini games, but no official confirmation on how many get rotated, how often they get rotated, anything like that. All the reviewers that I've seen on this game just mention for now it's only the 10.
I wish I knew why, because that the way it's being run, it's either an economical thing with the cost, or it's just a technological thing, because we have devices capable of running the entire game multiplayer over the internet. Like, they are able to do that. So it makes me wonder which side this is. Is it an economical thing, whereas maybe they don't want to spend the money to enable full multiplayer, or is it a technical limitation with the way that online works on the Switch? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to find a reason behind this, because why even have maps rotate, like, per day, for instance? Why even have rotation if you could just make it available for the players to pick whatever they want? Like, what do you gain by doing that?
I honestly have no idea. For the boards themselves, the only thing I can think of is trying to prevent frustration from people leaving mid-game. But as far as rotating the mini games, I can't think of a single good reason to not just have them all available.
Because what I see as a potential downside to this, especially when you get into online gaming, right? So get your mind in the online, I want to play with friends mindset. That can already be hard to schedule with friends. And so maybe the map that you really like is going to be available, but it's a day other people are working. You see what I'm saying? So, like, being able to choose out of all of them seems like the better option to me. I can't wait to find out, like, what kind of limitation is causing this choice.
Well, again, as I think we clarified that it's only the mini games.
Right.
Yeah, it's only the mini games.
So the multiple boards is not even going to be a different choice. I do have a feeling that they will add more as time goes on, considering this is their new, real console that they really are getting into DLC with.
Right.
So
But
I hope we'll actually see more boards just come in and play.
but adding more, what's the storage on the Switch look like? I mean, I've already heard.
Just over 20 gigs on the base thing, but you can buy SD cards to expand it. Like, let me do
Just
this.
mark my words, they're gonna have a Nintendo branded memory expansion at some
Oh,
point.
they Nintendo already is selling SD cards labeled as their Switch SD cards, and they go. I've seen 64 gig ones and 128 ones,
Yep.
but they have an online FAQ that says which ones you can use. Because
Because they've
just
always
today-
Nintendo's always been a peripheral company.
I went. Hold on, let me turn the screen down again so you can actually see this if it'll focus. You can. Wait, wrong way. If it will focus.
Yep, I see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I did pick up a 256 gig card today and install it just because I knew with Mario Party and Dragon Ball Fighters and Mega Man 11 and shit, like I'm already running out of space.
Yeah.
Let alone Splatoon 2, Xenoblade, etc. on there.
Yeah, though Nintendo are very good at compressing their games, so you're going to use a lot less space in the long run anyway than you would with the other systems.
I'll tell you
Well,
one way that makes compression really, really easy to accomplish, and that's if you only allow 10 mini games at a time. I mean, maybe that's why, right? Like maybe the online component minigames only requires extra storage, and if they were to allow it for all of them, they risk cutting out some people from being able to play who can't afford to upgrade their Switch with a new SD card. It could be a thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, they have 80 new mini games on there altogether. So if every day, once a day, they swap out the mini games, saying, "Oh yeah, we'll play these 10 today," and then it's some kind of list that it just kind of goes on with. That's not terrible. I mean, you don't really sit down for extended Mario Party games. You kind of get in, you play a board, you get a couple of things in, and then you go do something else. Like Mario Party's not really meant to be, I'm sitting here for 12 hours playing nothing but Mario Party.
So the big tell is going to be if you actually have to initiate some kind of download before you play online, and you have to re-download whenever they swap the maps out, then that would be the big tell that says that's why they're doing it that way, is storage space.
Well, I think that update will probably only happen whenever you connect online while in the game, because it's just going to update the maps. Now, when you play Splatoon 2, every time you launch the game, whenever you go back to the main thing, it tells you the rotation. But if you're not online, it doesn't do that. You know what I mean?
That it almost brings me back in time. Like I feel like Nintendo getting into the online sphere. Marty Party. I feel like with Nintendo just being fresh into this whole online platform thing, I feel like they're operating a generation behind. Like I don't know if you guys remember Twisted Metal Black.
Yeah.
When it came out,
didn't get to play it, but I remember it.
In order to play that online, you had to get a separate online disc for it. Because the technology was young, they didn't know exactly how to do it, and that's what it feels like with the Mario Party thing. It feels like they're still playing with it, like they're not solid like maybe your Xbox, like your Microsoft, your Sony are, and so they're just getting their feet wet.
I can show you. At least they didn't give you multiple discs.
Hello, Elko.
Well, one of the things to kind of keep in mind with, if you're assuming there's going to be mini game rotations, with Mario Party, a lot of the mini games are 2 versus 2, or 1 versus 3, or even 1 versus 1 dual game. Are they going to throw those in rotation as well? Because if it's only doing 4-player games, then we're already really limiting it.
Well, first of all, is it even confirmed that it's on rotation? Right now, that's more of a... It was just brought up, right?
I have only heard that they're going to rotate it. I have not seen any confirmation of that.
They'll probably have rotations that include a couple of each then, if that's the case. So like if you only do 1v1, you'll probably only see like 1 or 2 mini games that you could play.
Well, the way they basically do it, you have 3 sets of 5 mini games that you can choose.
Right.
And then you have a custom where you can pick which 5 you want to play, but it's always whatever 10 are available that day, just in mixed order.
I see. I got you. Well, I mean, it's still, I will admit, it's still a lot better than having nothing as an option. So
it is.
I'll give them credit there, but it does feel, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, does it feel like that to you guys? Like Nintendo is just, this is so new to them that maybe they're still trying to play catch up with all this, and so if your expectation is set as like, I'm going to get on Steam and play with my Steam friends in this one online game, your expectations are going to be a little bit too high getting into the Nintendo side of things as they're navigating. Like, does that seem fair?
I mean, I do feel like they've been playing catch up for a while, but I feel like they should already be past the experimental phase that they've been through. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's their own stubbornness that's really holding them back and from trying what really works or what has been proven to work. You know?
Yeah, Nintendo is not a company that necessarily tries to compete with the others. They just kind of do their own thing and just hope you'll come along for the ride. As far as Super Mario Party goes, it just seems like they're kind of piggybacking off the fact that, okay, those last 2 games were bad. This is not that. Well, that's true. It's not, but it is still really limited. And here, I'm going to give you that mini game video to throw up as I kind of go over this, if you want to play that, so we can see what the mini games are like. Because this is the positive aspect of Super Mario Party. The mini games are really good.
Let me load it up here.
Now, obviously, we're not going to go through all of them, but there is a lot of variety here. They actually went that extra step with not only the motion controls, but even including the rumble controls into some mini games.
Oh, they got Rumble?
Now, yes, there are games that are going to specifically use the rumble feature.
2 princesses and neither of them are Bowsette.
Now, I will say it's hilarious
Bowser
watching
already
Bowser
won.
do that. But
See, even Turtle Dude is like, Koopa's like, why are you not Bowsette? Like eyeballing the guy.
Why have? See, this is one of the mini games I'm actually interested in. Like, you beat the shit out of each other and trying to get in front of the camera the best.
yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, I'm on board with that.
Oh yeah. This is
That's a
the,
fun fucking picture right there. Where George is just like, yeah.
this is the place Super Mario Party excels at. The mini games all look fun for the most part.
That's the
There's
big
a
thing.
lot of variety there too.
I'm guessing they bring in back like the drawing games.
Got the ass shot.
He's just preparing for when he gets the princess crown.
Oh, she just
Oh
slugged
my
the shit out of
gosh.
him in the picture.
So yeah, even something so simple as this, they make it look like a lot of fun.
Are they bringing back the like the drawing mini games? I always had fun with those.
See, I have not actually watched this video until a little bit today before Warp Stage 3. I didn't want to know what to expect beforehand. I figured when we saw it, I could be excited for it.
Oh, we got chef time.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah,
probably one of the
and-
motion controls thing.
Like, look at the detail that they put into the mini games. It's really
Wow.
good. So I don't understand why the boards are so flat and bland.
Are we roasting some tuna here? Or
Yo,
what
this
what's
is
going
this is
on?
making me hungry. Is what this is doing.
He's burning the fruit. Oh my god!
You're burning it.
It looks delicious.
My gosh, a tuna cube.
You don't understand a tuna cube until you've had tuna cube.
No, I don't eat tuna, so I wouldn't understand.
You are a heathen.
Well, they did better than we did at Overcooked, at least.
That's kind of where I'm sitting at that for that.
Catching
So-
popcorn. This is
Yeah.
almost like
But are we?
this is like something you would see in like the Wild and Crazy Kids game
we-
show growing up.
Are we dunking the popcorn, or is it butter, or is it just trying to stack up? Like
Looks like
I
you're
think
trying to
you-
that's like
catch
just
it.
a shot.
Yeah, it looks like
Oh, you fucking fail!
he's running
Right
away
next
from
to
him.
it.
So as you can see out there, we're excited just watching the mini games. This is like, the best part of Super Mario Party. This is the reason you get it. I mean, I know that's kind of like a duh thing,
Yeah.
but if
I mean,
you would take these mini games and put them in Mario Party 9, it would have still sucked.
yeah. I mean, it's the functionality on the board, the ability to screw your friends over, and then
Mhm.
the competition between the mini games is really what Mario Party's about.
Right.
I'm
Like,
pretty.
It's not about the size of the board; it's how you use it, I guess.
I mean, that's true, but the boards are pretty limited in this game. Like, item count is way down, space variety is down. Like, they don't even have chance time in this game.
It seems like they're putting
cannot
all their
move James Bond.
eggs. It seems like they're putting all their eggs in the mini game basket.
I mean, it certainly excels at that. Like I said, I will still pick this game up at some point because the mini games look amazing. But I'm kind of on the fence that I hope they have DLC for this. They've got to do something about the boards for me.
Yeah, Elko, that was the same thought I had. That the pan looked super realistic, almost like it wasn't even a game. In the cooking scene.
Mm-hmm. They
Look
put
at
a
cheating.
lot of detail into the games.
So that's where all your storage space is going. We know that right now.
Metal balls. That's where your storage space is going.
So I feel like this is definitely a positive Mario Party. It's definitely worth a buy, but I don't want to give it too much credit because it does have that hype of, hey, this isn't like 9 and 10. It's going to be good. Well, it looks good, but I don't want to ignore the limitations of the game.
Well, you got to have a balanced view on things, because if you're just like a diehard Nintendo fanboy, you never actually learn anything. You're just like, yay, Nintendo, new stuff.
Right. And the game, it feels like either they have specifically prepped it for DLC down the line, or they're hoping this will work out and they can milk, another 9 sequels.
I don't even know what this game is.
You're counting the toads. And the ones in the first seat were playing Hearthstone, I swear it.
Oh, wow, and they got a little purse back there that looks like one of them, really?
Yeah, and see, I love this because unlike some of the other Mario parties, you don't see like 5 games that are all exactly the same. There's actually a bunch of stuff to do.
It almost brings me back. I mean, Mario Party always brings me back to the Wario minigame, like way back in the day. What was the name of that? I forget the name of that on the Game Boy.
WarioWare.
Was it WarioWare? That's right.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like WarioWare, but multiplayer.
So, just to mention real quick, one of the creative things, one of the games I'm
it's
most
fucking
looking
right
for.
here.
This is blasphemy.
One of the things I'm looking forward to, they have a Rumble mini game where your controller rumbles in a specific way. And then they have a bunch of Mario enemies move across the screen making various rumbles. And you have to guess which one of them was that rumble that you felt.
Oh, wow.
And I've heard again from people that have played the game that it's not always easy to tell. Like, they actually have made it to where, you'd think, oh, well, this rumble's just really loud. That'll be easy to look out for. Not always, no.
Oh, my God, I just got lost. I almost had it, too. That's cute. That's a cute little mini game.
Yeah, I like it.
This is definitely a game built for like Hidden Spike Trap and the Utility Man, like Mario Party in general. I think that's how I would describe your marriage. It's literally Mario Party.
That's probably not too far off.
They're not pumping hard enough.
Oh
my god, it's actually very suggestive in the fucking Koopaling on the left.
I was just gonna ask if this is safe for work or not. Is this gonna be demonetized now?
Well, it's no less safe than Senran Kagura, which I showed a few weeks ago.
I suppose that's true. The hell is a pom pom? Really? They got pom pom?
Pom Pom.
I don't recall pom pom in Mario World. Do you guys?
No.
So they have
Not
pom
offhand.
pom, but they don't have Bowsette.
They don't have Wendy Cooper or anything. Like, we should quit spoiling the game for everybody now.
Probably.
That
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
it looks like they are doing a really good job with the mini games. That's really good to know, especially considering that the boards are a little bit more flat.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm not disappointed with some of the stuff because for veterans of the series out there, I'd kind of hoped that they would come back with the same item system that they had in 5 and 6, which was the capsule/orb system, which lets you throw items on spaces, and then those spaces are permanently whatever that item would do.
Right.
That basically means every turn something different is happening. Well, I land on this space and it causes me to switch places with somebody. I land on this space and I have to pay this player 5 coins, like Monopoly. And I was really sad when they got rid of that in 8, and I was kind of hoping to see that return in this. So it's a little disappointing, but given the fact that I loved Mario Party before that was implemented, there's no reason I can't still enjoy this.
I think You might hate me for this, but I feel like if trend continues, I think the future of Mario Party is literally just mini games. It's going to be WarioWare multiplayer because it feels
See, I
like
don't
they're trying to remove the board part of it.
see. I don't think that's going to be the case because they recently had a 3DS game called Mario Party: The Top 100, which was just the top 100 mini games in the series chosen by them, and it didn't do that well. Everyone wanted the board aspect of it. I don't think they'll ever be able to get rid of the boards.
You
People
thought it
wouldn't
was
buy
a
it.
so Elko looked up pom pom and thought it was a shuriken, not a boomerang. She had a boomerang. I didn't even notice
No,
that.
that looked like a shuriken to me.
Looked like a shuriken to me.
Yeah, so if it's a boomerang, it is a shuriken boomerang. I'll put it that way.
I mean, Mario
Weapon types.
3 had those boomerang enemies, so
True.
I mean, I even saw that it had bows on top of the shuriken.
How well did that top 100 minigames release sell? Did it do okay?
Probably not very well.
to be honest, I don't know the actual sales figures because I wasn't planning on talking about it, but I do know the reviews were not good.
Really?
Yeah, most of the things that I saw said the same thing I've been kind of saying for this. It was very limited.
Maybe that's why they added the board back in this after that. It was like, okay, people didn't just want the mini games.
To be honest, I think seeing the classic board playstyle returned is what's going to get people to buy this.
I mean,
Like,
technically,
mini
that's what
games are
made me
great.
buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I want to buy it, just because of the classic boards return. The mini games are great. I would have loved them anyway,
But-
as long as they weren't bad.
I-
But
I can officially say this, that I would not have picked my own personal copy up if it was not for the multiple console minigames that we saw.
Oh, where you can like
whatever that
connect
tank
them.
one. Yeah, because if I did not see that, I wouldn't have bought another. I wouldn't have bought my own copy of this. I would have let D-Maze pick up the copy that we're going to play tonight, and that'd be it. And I don't know why my camera just froze.
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, now obviously there are a bunch of side modes and stuff with the game, but one, that would take us a few hours to go over, and two, even though they're nice, they're not really why people buy these games. You buy it for the boards and for the mini games.
Yep. I think out of everything I've seen, I just hope for some better board nuance. I think the mini games looked spot on without touching them yet. I think they looked great. I just hope in the future to get some more in-depth boards that aren't so generic looking.
Oh yeah, no, I'd like to see more in-depth boards.
Definitely.
But I think, well, after I play it for the first time, maybe I'll have a different story, you know. But we'll have to see. It's all going to be about how it actually plays out in the game, versus just going ahead and criticizing that. Oh, this board's so tiny.
Yeah,
that could
I
be-
think you're going to have to see it in action. And I'm sure next week, Largo, you're going to have plenty of experience to come back and tell us if we were right to be worried or not.
Well, I mean, I'll have enough experience probably by tonight to really understand that.
So you could let us know in Discord then at some point this week.
Maybe we'll have to see.
I'm kind of looking forward to playing it myself so I can better gauge how I enjoy it. But if I were to just base it on what I've seen, I could see it being fourth or fifth for me. Not top three though.
Elko says the top 100 sold just over 52,000 copies the first week in Japan. I feel like that number seems low for Japan. Am I wrong? Like, am I just losing it?
It does feel kind of low.
It's low for a Mario game
In Japan.
in Japan.
Given that was also a DS title for a Mario Party-esque game. Like, that's already going to be a
It's already slimming it down. Yeah.
small pickings. So,
Zalbathar is concerned about the dice game. I don't know, man. I think it just comes down to finding the dice that you like and going with that character from then on out.
See, I
I
love
don't
the
know if
dice
there's going to be a
aspect.
regular dice for you to roll, but every character is going to have their own dice, too. I know
Right.
that much.
A
You
supplementary
probably still
dice.
can roll regular 1 to 10, but then every character has their own character specific that you have an option to pick instead of having mushroom going all over the place.
I think
That's
that
a
was
guess
great
right
addition.
now. I haven't. You saw me open it on screen, so I have no idea.
I like that because if they do that, right, if it is an option, then it adds an extra choice to what you're doing on the board, and having extra choices to make leaves room for strategy and best decisions.
Exactly.
And that's great. That's great for the board game.
Actually, Zold, it's a -3 coins, not -6.
So
But yes, that is the
having
case.
any option to go backwards in a Mario Party though is huge.
No, that's -3 coins, not -3 spaces.
I was about to say, like if they have somebody have a dice that have a -3, like move back 3 spaces, I don't care if it costs me 3 coins to do it. That's
I mean-
major. Like, because if you just think about it in past games, you know, you move forward, you rolled that 10 one turn, you got 2 spaces in front of Boo. You rolled that -3. You lost 3 coins to go back, but you saw Boo again. And then you're going to see him again going forward?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Talk about a power turn?
Well, you could always reverse mushroom yourself from the older games.
Yeah, but you had to have that specific item. Having it on a regular
Yeah.
dice block just ups the fucking power.
Yeah, but it is not -3 moves, just to clarify. It's -3 coins. Which, in this game, things don't cost as much, but you also don't make as much off the mini games. So 3 coins can be a big difference.
I want them to bring back losers lose coins as well.
You know, I wish this game had Boo in it, but I don't think that it does.
So yeah, I would play Boo nonstop as a second if Bowsette's not, since Bowsette's not in it.
He's not even in the no, he's in the character list on here.
No, I mean, there's no Boo space.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying. He's there.
Yeah. Yeah, just the same as there's no Bowser space. Instead, they have an unlucky space, which does kind of the same thing. I don't know. I kind of miss the chaos from Mario Party 3, 5, and 6.
How
So
can he not be in the game if he's in the actual character list artwork? That seems kind of shitty.
Maybe he is. Check the instruction manual, or do they not have them anymore?
Oh yeah, check that huge instruction manual, right?
Welcome to the digital age, everybody. Your instruction
Boo
manuals.
is playable in Super.
You open the case and there's just a message. We're sorry, your instruction manual is in another castle.
I've had enough of that.
So how are we feeling on the whole? I really like the mini games. I think the board space probably could use some more, and I'm really energetic about hearing more about it when we actually get our hands on it.
I'm feeling good about it still. Like I feel like they might have picked some janky choices for the game. Like I really did expect bigger boards than what we've seen. Because walking around I guess you could put it like in 10, they had the actual Mario Party game, but it was all just like little 2D stilts of characters where you flip the board to do different things to collect different outfits or some shit.
Right.
Like that felt really shitty. Like I thought it was a good version of the game, even though it had that small board that things just changed on you with. But it still had the original Mario Party feel that I was looking for. So
Yeah, I mean,
I won't knock it till I try it.
I do have a little concern that I'll get tired of the boards kind of quickly, because they are so basic. Because I'm not the type of person that plays regular board games that much. It's like, yeah, you can go pull out Monopoly every now and then, but I'm not going to sit down and play Monopoly every single day. Whereas if I go pick up Mario Party 3, I can play that every day, even on the same boards.
You haven't lived until you've played hardcore tabletop with real money.
Now, I'm not including tabletop games like Settlers of Catan and Ticket to Ride and stuff. Those are a bit different. I'm talking about traditional board games.
I'm saying no. I'm agreeing. I'm saying you go get 20 grand out of the bank. You sit down and you play real money Monopoly, winner take all. Like
I'll be the banker.
that's.
No.
I mean, Rooster Teeth's actually doing it on their thing.
Like real
as
Monopoly.
titled Hardcore Tabletop.
That's
They're actually
crazy.
making a series out of it.
But I think I will still enjoy this game if for nothing but the fact that it is a return to format and the mini games look really good. But I don't think I'll play it as much as some of the older ones, unless they add like DLC boards and stuff.
And again, I have a feeling they'll add DLC boards because just like Smash is going to add DLC characters after launch still,
Yeah.
you know?
And Elko even said that there's probably going to be a petition to get Bowsette put in.
Uh, she's not a canon Mario character.
Yet. Y-E-T. Yet.
Well, there is a Peach Bowser character that was planned on being in Odyssey and ended up not being.
We're one step closer to solving the mystery.
Like, do you two not know about this?
I don't need to know about it. I really don't.
That means I need to find it real quick.
Well, you can hold on to that for after our final topic.
Yeah, I'll show it at the end of the stream.
All right,
There's
so
not even much time to go over the final topic now. We got about 20 minutes.
you ready to jump into it?
I can. You want to? Let's start it off with. Why don't you go ahead and explain the question you asked in Discord that actually spawned this?
So, I asked a question a while back in Discord, as you might have guessed from what Largo just said, about why people play games. Because in the developer sphere over the past few years, a phrase had come up to the forefront that I haven't really heard, and I don't even identify with in my entire life of playing games. I was born in the early 80s, and up until a few years ago, I never heard this, and now it's talked about constantly, and that is the concept of power fantasy. And I don't know if you guys have really thought about what that even means much. Yes, I'm an old man. I'm absolutely an old man. But the thought that goes into it is, instead of making a game and the point is to have interesting mechanics and an actual tug of war of overcoming and all this, they want to make games that give you this power fantasy. Like Warframe, even though I enjoyed Warframe to a point, it's kind of like the poster child of power fantasy, because you get to this point where you could just go into a room, press a button, and everything dies. And a lot of people enjoy that, and I don't get it. Like, I'm not wired to understand that mentality, because that, to me, it stops becoming a game. Like, to me, a game has to have a back and forth. A game has to have a fail state. You have to be able to lose if you don't interact with it properly. That is a game to me. But apparently it's all about power fantasy at this point.
That's exactly like what you and I talked about for Path of Exile, where you could eventually work up to a build where you just run around and everything instantly dies. And I just don't find that fun.
A lot of people do. I don't know. There's something wrong with this.
I don't know how that could be fun after a few minutes. How do you not get bored of that?
And so I remember jumping in and then saying, like, well, the entire point, and a lot of people play games for, is to not only do something that they can't physically do, in reality, but that also makes them feel like they're accomplishing something, because I guess everybody innately wants to feel like the hero, or have the spotlight on them for something special.
Right.
They want to feel like that special snowflake that can do things that other people can't.
Right.
And so if you think about it, in Legend of Zelda, you play as the hero of time, or the hero of whatever genre this is at the moment, the hero of the Skyward Sword or whatnot. And so you, as Link, you kind of personify yourself as that at that point. And so it is your job to then save the world. Now, not every game is all about saving the world, but usually it's still about saving the city, saving your block.
There's some archetype that's followed. Yeah.
Right. And throughout the game, you're going to start with the least amount of power, and you're still going to build up to the most amount of power, whether that be through items, actual stats, gear.
It doesn't count to me unless it's a skill build-up.
But it doesn't need to be a skill. Like, obviously, people play Zelda still. you still feel like a hero at the end of Zelda.
Can I say something really controversial that'll probably make a lot of people unsub from us?
I mean, we don't have many subs as it stands anyway, so what's the difference, right?
So, Link to the Past, great Legend of Zelda game. This is my favorite Legend of Zelda game to ever exist. You could release that game and have nothing to do with the Legend of Zelda on the story side, and I would have enjoyed it just as much. The story and the characters were a backseat to the actual gameplay for me. I didn't give two shits about, oh, it's Link and I'm gonna save the princess and do this and I'm gonna overcome game. I didn't care about that. The gameplay is what I cared about.
Right, and that's what really held people there for. But what you did do is throughout the game, as you gathered his items and gathered his, extra abilities and stuff,
right?
You still felt more powerful because you were able to access more areas, do more things in the engine.
But there is a stark difference there too, though, because you get more items, you get more power-ups, you get better armor, but you're then faced with new challenges that required that stuff to be on an even keel. So
unless you're a speedrunner.
Right. Unless you're a speedrunner and you've boiled it down to a science. If you're just playing casually like I did, you get stronger, but so does the world around you. The world around you gets more hostile, and so you have to meet the hostility of the world. Whereas in a lot of games now, I feel like that world becoming more hostile as time goes on is thrown to the wayside. Like in Warframe, for instance, things never get harder, really. They only get easier until the point you're just blowing everything, including bosses, up in one hit. There's no extra challenge added to the game to meet the fact that you're getting stronger and stronger. What's the traditional superhero story? Why do you even need a superhero? Well, because there's evil out there that normal people can't handle, right? That's the whole point in having a superhero. A regular man can't stop evil Magneto. We need the X-Men who are capable of stopping Magneto.
Unless it's not actually Magneto, of course.
Right. So it feels like the games nowadays, here's the perfect example. We are creating Supermen, like Superman, but not having a villain to face. It's Superman versus humans. That's what it feels like in gaming now. And so when they say things like...
Most of the time, he doesn't have one either.
Right, but you get my point.
Has kryptonite.
Right, but you get my point. So, when they... you'll notice in all the reviews... games journalism in 2018 is a joke, I know, but in all the reviews for all these games, it's it makes you feel like Batman. It makes you feel like Spider-Man. Okay, that's great, but that has nothing to do with what I base my purchasing decision on. Sure, I can feel like Spider-Man all day and night, go around and punch people, but is it hard? Is there actually a way to lose? Because otherwise, what am I doing?
You still get your ass kicked even at max power because, even as Spider-Man, bullet to the brain is still a pretty big weakness of yours,
Yeah.
Right.
You can be overwhelmed by having a whole bunch of enemies, even though you have moves to deal with AoE enemies. It's just how it works, I guess. But
I just don't like the feeling being the main selling point because I don't care about feeling like Spider-Man. The way I look at it for Spider-Man is it'd be really cool if you can swing and they get that accurate and you feel like you're actually Spider-Man. But that's kind of on the side to having a damn good game and then add that to it. So when I see these articles and their headlines are feel like Spider-Man, I feel like, okay, what did they sacrifice because they're not talking about the more important stuff. That's how I approach it.
The beauty of games these days is you don't necessarily have to sacrifice anything to make the superhero genre work anymore. We have enough of a hold on what in gaming works for us to say, okay, well, we can translate that genre into this specific hero because that hero has a tool set to deal with that kind of genre.
Right.
The open world save everything works pretty well for, say, Superman, for Spider-Man, and the more stealthy mechanics work for Batman. Which is why we saw the Arkham Knight series.
Yep.
Or the that. And so Batman's sitting in rafters, scaring the shit out of guards and other things in a confined space, or wandering around the city and beating the shit out of to regular regular criminals is still in his bracket of things.
Right.
And so when a game wants you to feel like a specific hero, like Spider-Man, they're going to want to include things like obviously swinging through the city. Because what is the iconic thing for Spider-Man? He's going to be swinging through the city, beating the shit out of regular criminals, beating the shit out of even stronger actual like main villains,
Using the web in interesting ways,
while flying off at the mouth and insulting people.
Yeah, I mean, it's
comically
important, but do you think that's more important than anything else in a video game? Is to feel like them?
In this specific scenario, just being able to have a good iteration of a superhero is almost as important as the actual gameplay, because some people that don't necessarily play games do want to experience like seeing Spider-Man in a controlled fashion.
Right.
So like if you've watched enough Spider-Man movies, you're like, damn, I really want to do that. You know, I really want to have my own adventure.
Spider-Man Simulator.
Really do. You know, like I want to try to emulate that as best as possible, but there's no game out there. And then some game companies like, you know, there's probably a market for that. Somebody would probably like to do that. Let's go ahead and try to make a game based around this character's tool set.
Right. I mean, I can definitely understand that there's a market for it. Am I wrong to think that, or am I wrong to feel like this is becoming more popular than any other kind of approach, though? Like, I feel like selling the power fantasy has become the number one goal at the cost of everything else. Like, I was on a forum once, just to give you some insight, I was on a forum where they were talking about different things, and I said, do you guys actually think power fantasy is real? I don't play games for power fantasy. I play them for the mechanics. I see hit boxes and move sets and mechanics. I don't necessarily see the power fantasy in it personally. And I got so many downvotes. Like, everyone was claiming, no, you play it for the power fantasy. Everyone plays it for the power fantasy. And I'm just like, is this really where games are in 2018?
Well,
I feel like a stranger in my own crew.
Not everyone is going to buy into the power fantasy, at least on, you know, brain base level, right, as conscious level does. But even you do, to an extent. Like, we can even go back into saying, you know, you're playing Path of Exile.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you do in Path of Exile? You specifically, you spot a build that you want to go, and then you crack out on it, and so you get that done.
Actually, I'll tell you exactly what I did in Path of Exile in my full clear of the achievements for one season. I did not go into Path of Exile thinking I want to find interesting ways of one-shotting things. I very specifically looked at the forum. Everyone at the time was talking about energy shields being impossible to play because they nerfed the shit out of them. So the way I played Path of Exile is I said, I'm going to make an energy shield character and beat the game to prove it can still be done with skill. And that's what I did. It had nothing to do with power fantasy. My character's not going to go around one-shotting rooms, but through struggling and overcoming with skill, I could beat the game.
But that's still a power fantasy.
How?
How is it? You're still striving to fight against the quote-unquote impossible at that point.
Right.
You're trying to prove that, you know, your power set, i.e. your power set being the energy shield at that point.
But that's not living out a fantasy.
Effective enough to be that.
That's not living out a fantasy, though. That's just honing my skills and proving that I can make the power to do it. It's not a power fantasy. It's not make-believe. I'm actually better than the people who said it couldn't be done. Like, that's where I draw the line.
But you see, that's where the fantasy is. That's where, in your head, you've succeeded to become that hero.
Right.
And I use this in quotes, of course. Like, your idea of becoming that hero was, I'm going to prove to the world that my energy shield can take on the world. You know, that I can be as good as that other guy that's already one-shotting everything.
Okay, I can adapt to that phrase then, because I guess if we're clarifying that as being part of power fantasy, then I guess my response would be I don't like it when power fantasy is just given, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
like you don't want to be dropped in and saying, "Hey, I'm Superman. I have no weaknesses,
Right. I
and I
don't.
will always be as strong as needed."
Yeah, I don't want that because that's not a game at that point. That's just a
Right.
shoot bad guy simulator with your eyeballs.
Exactly. Like you don't want power to just be dropped on your face. You want to work towards something to prove a point. And that's where the power fantasy really is in the end. It's not about exactly how you do it or what goals you have as much as it is you defying odds to be the best that you can be.
I will say
You know?
when I made that claim that I wanted to play an energy shield character and beat the game, even though it was going to be slower and it was going to be harder, I will say I was met with a lot of hostility.
Hey, welcome, Kipster.
Kipster.
Kipstar.
Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, welcome. Good to have you here. But I was met with a lot of hostility, and this is something that's more recent because I was met with the same hostility in Warframe when I made a comment that I don't want to be able to one shot a room. I want a room to actually have nuanced combat and risks where I could fail. And the overwhelming response, and I mean, this is all anecdotal, it could be completely different. I could have just had bad luck, but the overwhelming response is, why would you want to make yourself weaker? You're an idiot if that's how you want to play. Like, that was the general consensus, and it blew me away that this was the common consensus, that nobody wanted challenge. They just wanted to blow things up. Like, that was one of the biggest defenses was, I work full time, I just want to come home and shoot things, I don't want to worry about losing. And it's like, why are you playing a game? Like, there's that distinction. I can't cross that line. My mind doesn't work that way, and I can't make sense of it.
Well, I actually see that kind of thing a lot nowadays too, when people are clamoring for them to take lives and continues out of a game. You should just keep being able to try till you win. They should take time limits out of a game because that's just an archaic restriction that we shouldn't have today. Little by little, they're taking out all the challenges that we had in the older games growing up. So they just don't feel the same anymore.
Yeah, so I guess go ahead, Logo.
I'm going to bring this up that Mega Man 11 has still retained that at least. Like
Yeah.
While you still have lives, the lives aren't really a archaic design for games that need to just be cut out. But what in this sense in Mega Man per se, in Mega Man 11, what it symbolizes now is still your opportunity to skip from having to go back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's still a chance thing. Like, since continues have never really mattered in home gaming, in console gaming.
Right, it's just
But
arcade
in arcades,
fodder.
it has a spot.
Yeah.
And so if you think of lives as your convenience chances, it really is like just something that works out for that. It's like, yeah, conveniently you can die twice before you get sent back to the beginning of the level, and then you have your conveniences reset. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like this is a lesson that as a society in gaming and in any of this stuff in fantasy, I feel like this is a lesson we already learned and we're having to learn it again with the new generation. I mean, if you look at how Superman was written in the comics, they've done the science and researched and realized, oh crap, the reason Superman's not as popular as Batman is because the guy has no weaknesses. We need to like write in the kryptonite and all that stuff. And that's why eventually Superman became less popular, because he was just too damn invincible. And I feel like we're having to relearn that same lesson with games, because I feel like the Spider-Man game aside, right? Like, I'm going to give credit to Spider-Man game. I'm hearing good things about it.
Right.
But games more often than not are giving you the superhero simulation without any of the risks. And they're writing the Superman story again, and they're going to have to learn the hard way. Like, people get bored of that. Like Elko says, I remember I played D&D with a high-level mage, probably level 12 to 14 in the current edition. I mean, I was so strong, I was getting bored, underline bored, to just 2 or 3 shotting enemies with my highest level spell. So I told the DM I want to re-roll a character, and I want a challenge in this campaign. It was my first time playing a mage, and I was like, damn, this is boring for me. And I think a lot of people think they just want the superhero simulator. Give it time, and people are going to become super bored with that.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a comment on that, just for Elko in particular, since it was his first time playing a mage S character. That in D&D, including in 5e right now, magic has always been the ridiculous power of the game. Like, fighters and everything have really, really strong early game, and mages just don't have a whole lot in the beginning. Like, sure, you have limited AoE and a couple of really decent I can automatically hit spells, and then you're tapped out. But by end game, you have enough tools to really, really bring different amounts of pain or really do what you want. You're not required to take the big spells like Fireball and Meteor or Wish or anything like that. But those are some of the go-to spells constantly for a reason. And if you've taken them,
Lightning bolt, lightning bolt. Sorry, I had to.
yeah. If it is your fantasy to have those spells at that point in D&D, it's also your DM's discretion to use things that counter that. Like, it's not just your fault for taking it, but it's really your DM's responsibility to put things in the game that have resistances to your stuff, so that you don't feel like, oh shit, I'm just going to one-shot the entire crew.
Well, isn't that one of the biggest things about being a successful DM is gauging like the engagement? And if someone's not engaged, figuring out a way to get their head back in the game, like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it is really the thing. Like, so if you really liked who that character was, like who the internal role-playing portion of that character was, if you liked that, then it's your DM's responsibility to fix the combat for you, not for you to say, well, I'm just really bored, I really want to reroll a character. Because there are two sides to D&D. There's the role-playing aspect and then the combat. Some people have just only fun with the combat. Some people don't care about the role-playing aspect. Others care more about the role-playing aspect than they do the combat altogether. So, it's whatever side of the coin that you are playing for is exactly where you want to be.
So, utility,
and
man.
that's what tailors into the power fantasy, because again, you don't necessarily want to be the most powerful all the time, but you want to be effective in any situation that you come up with, I guess.
Yeah, I want to have the tools to succeed at any given time, and I want the chance to fail based on me not using the tools to the best of my capacity.
Now, in D&D and stuff like that, there's still the RNG that your die just rolls 1 and you fail no matter what you do. That's possible.
Yeah.
Like, it's really shitty, but, it happens. Just like there's the chance that even some of your lower-end stuff can just automatically kill somebody, and you do it by accident.
That's something that those of us born in the early 80s have a word for. And they put it in games, even to this day. You'll find it peppered every now and then in some of the best games. We call it a case of bullshit.
Yeah.
You walk into a room and enter the dungeon, and there's like 70 bullets flying at you, and you're out of flashes. Well, bullshit. It's what that was.
Yep.
And there's plenty of bullshit. So I just want to talk to utility. You've been a little bit more quiet on this. I know you've got opinions on the way games are balanced for simulation versus actual gameplay. Let's get your words on it before we end off.
Okay, so I want to note on something you mentioned before, keeping the player engaged. I feel like gaming nowadays is going more towards keeping people engaged for short bursts at a time, instead of people that sit down and play the game for 4 to 8 hours like we do sometimes. They're not often made for us anymore.
That's fair. Like Warframe, I keep going back to Warframe because it's always like my poster child for games then versus now. Warframe started off as a really fun game for me, but because I'm powerful in that game now, if I were to log into it, the game is literally a pacifier at this point. Like, I just walk in and press buttons and watch people die. Like, people apparently like that, but that's not a game to me anymore. It's just some kind of, it's like when you give a kid a sugar cube to keep them from crying or something. Like one of them old country things that parents would do is give the kid some sugar just to shut them up. Like that's what pressing a button and watching a room die feels like to me, and I could do it for maybe 2 seconds before I want to punch myself in the face.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to be completely invincible either, because there's no challenge there, and I have to have a challenge. If I don't have a challenge, more often than not, I'm not going to enjoy the game. Not that I don't enjoy easier games, but all the times when I'm going to pick up a game, one of the first things I want to know is how challenging is it?
Yep. That's probably why
And
you're loving Enter the Gungeon.
yes, love Enter the Gungeon.
Because every time you die and you fail, you could say, I could have done that better. And you have to
Hmm.
keep working harder and harder at it. So
Exactly.
I would love to
And
hear what, like after the show at some point tonight or in the coming days, I would love to hear what the audience, like what you guys in chat think. Because this is a really big, it's actually a big conversation in the industry right now about, how much do you simulate a superhero versus make a challenging game? Like, do you enjoy just logging in and spamming your B key and watching things blow up? Is that your idea of a good time after a long day of work? Or do you need an environment that gets more hostile as you play, requiring more out of you to succeed as you go on?
Why don't we do this for that exact situation? Just to spark the conversation in chat to keep it separate from like public chat per se. Why don't in our Fortis Discord? Why don't we go ahead and make another channel that's open to everybody, and just label it like something like superhero discussion, and really let that just drag on. So we have a constant flow of that, and we can actually read that on our own time if we're not sitting right there and spying on it.
Yeah, I might be able to pull up a channel. It would take me a couple
Because
hours.
it just seems like something that's going to take longer, that not necessarily everyone's going to get in if they don't see it going on.
Right.
And so if we actually have a separate channel, that might actually work out.
It's
like, it'll let everybody at least drop their ideas of what they feel like their power fantasy questions are,
it'll become the waffles versus pancakes, which that war will
gosh.
never be over. That's a war nobody wins, but we'll always fight.
Speaking of waffles versus pancakes, I have a place in city recently that we found that's called Waffles on Maple. Ryan should experience the pun. But all they do is sell actual, I don't want to say artistic waffles, but let's put it this way: they have the heart attack waffle, which is just a waffle with eggs and jalapenos and cheese on top of it,
Right.
and it's actually delicious.
That sounds good to me. Eggs,
I'd have to find-
jalapeno,
I don't-
and cheese.
I don't have
know that
the-
I'm gonna try that.
I don't have the menu right here with me right now.
It sounds like
But
a
I have it.
Mexican breakfast dish.
Let me see if I
Yeah,
have it right
but-
next to the computer. Hold on.
The problem with that is, I mean, you have your egg and cheese, and then you go slap a waffle on top of it. I'm no longer interested.
Well, the waffle should be underneath. If we're talking structurally, I mean, I know I'm an engineer, so I could tell you from experience, the waffles
Like, can
probably
I-
should be on the bottom as the foundation.
Can I just tell them to hold the waffle like a burger place?
I'd like a large quarter pounder, hold the bread and the toppings, please. Just give me 2 pieces of meat.
Well, you mean you can go to McDonald's and get that now. In fact, they'd prefer you did.
Yeah, probably.
Hold on. I'm gonna give you the menu. I'm gonna link you the menu in Discord real quick for us, just for a link, so we can pull that up, just so we can see exactly why waffles are better.
All right.
Like, look at this one right here. Heart attack waffle: caramelized onions and mushrooms, 2 fried eggs, jalapenos, mozzarella cheddar, and Menastor cheese.
What the? What menu is this?
Again, this is just the online version of the menu. Like, I had a physical copy, but I don't know where it ran to.
Oh man, that is so good.
There's a bigger menu than this, but this is just a small version.
The hangover waffle. Cream grills.
Again, the one that I have is much bigger than this menu. I don't know why this one's so small.
Probably
But,
for like
there's a
online
good
orders.
example though of exactly what's on there.
Yeah, the pancakes have nothing on this, if I'm being honest with you.
Like, look, if you come down here or over this way, then I will have to drag you over there.
Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, that would give me a place for waffles. I already got a place for pizza not far from the utility man.
I'm just saying, the Bayou crepe, which is Cajun imitation crab au gratin topped with cheddar cheese, inside of a crepe. Like,
I'm getting hungry just looking at this now.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to agree with Chad here. Pancakes are better.
Well,
Crab au gratin inside of a handheld device. It's inside of a crepe. Come on, it's awesome.
see, a pancake would never hold on to those toppings. It would just do the Kirby thing and just take all the toppings for itself, and you don't even get the flavor back. It's like half cardboard,
Understand.
half topping.
The yolks of the eggs, when you cut into it, seep into the
yeah.
holes and hold on to the juice for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep mentioning the holes. Why is it the best part of the waffle is the empty spaces on top of it?
Because you can hide stuff in it.
Because it's the only good part of the waffle. The
No,
empty
it's not.
space.
Look. The best topping for pancakes is the trash can lid.
Yeah, you have already made that joke.
You know,
didn't
waffles.
have another one to
Look,
make.
waffles versus pancakes is not our topic, but man, is that war always going to be going on. Always. We seem to have more of the pancake losers in chat today, but that's okay. We'll
Yeah,
convert
the
you.
good people.
Oh, here we go, Frost. They actually have it on
The followers of the
Grubhub for a
false
much more extended menu.
followers of the false
Or
prophet.
DoorDash. There you go. This has the much more extended version of this. Look, I'm actually really interested in this Alaskan salmon omelet. Smoked pastrami, stuffed with cream cheese, green onions, and topped with tomatoes.
And
As an omelet.
Oreo cookie.
I mean, obviously, if you're going right down there. But I mean, look, a banana Foster waffle.
Where are
You
you
know you
seeing
like
the
bananas
waffles?
Foster, but in waffle format, sliced bananas and hot rum sauce sprinkled on with a dash of cinnamon over a waffle.
Look, hold on though. Hold on, the crepes, man. Like this is the third party in here, but I got a thing for crepes too. Dulce de leche crepe with fresh bananas. Oh,
It's fruit. You know,
I'm gonna need a minute. Is what I'm gonna
Look.
need. Here's the waffles.
Oreo cookie batter, vanilla ice cream, whipped cream, and chocolate sauce as a waffle. Like,
Make a Elko says make a channel called Food Wars. I feel like even though our Discord is about like gaming culture, I think like the subtext is already Food Wars at this point. It's like gaming culture plus Food Wars.
You know, if your negative comment about Link to the Past didn't get rid of our subs, this will. Congratulations.
Waffles are just better. Like I mean, if you like pancakes more, I'm not going to judge you, but you're lesser of a person.
you know what I'm saying? I respect the pancake party, but waffles is where I'm at.
You know, a week from now, when you two are our only subs remaining because you said this, don't come back crying to me.
I mean, if our only subs are only the waffle supporters, then I say that it's a quality over quantity thing.
So you're fine with it just being two people, gotcha.
Oh, it'd be a lot more than two, trust me.
Yeah, why don't you go back and play Street Fighter 1, where there were only two choices?
Do you know why our
See how well
chat?
that
Do you know
does.
why our chat is mostly pancake supporters? Because the waffle
flat earthers?
supporters are actually busy right now eating the waffles. Pancake supporters don't actually eat the pancakes.
Really? I don't see you two eating a waffle.
Because we're taking the time away from our important waffle eating job to sit here and talk to the pancake party of you.
Or
You don't know what's off camera.
two.
Oh my god.
Look, you don't understand. I'm having Mario Waffle Party in a little while.
Yeah.
Waffles.
And
Just like
that
that
game,
was Smash.
while good, could be much better, like a pancake instead of a waffle.
So, thank you for watching Warp Stage 3 this
Hey,
week.
whoa. Remember what I said I was bringing up at the end?
I thought
No.
that would trigger you to do it. All right, you got a link?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This
By the way,
is a real legit thing. We're getting this
how-
out there.
Frost, how have you never fed Southern Rachel Bird a crepe yet?
Okay, look. Hold on. I made Rachel some like homemade carrot souffle. I made her made from scratch pancakes. I made pancakes. And that what? It like skipped it to it. Me, a waffle aficionado, made pancakes. All right, so what do we have here? Art of Super Mario Odyssey features a Peach X Bowser character. It is canon.
There was legit going to be a Peach Bowser type character.
It's canon. It's official.
It's canon.
So when everyone says it's not canon, they don't know.
No, they don't. It's canon.
So Bowsette is real. Look at
There's
that.
no escaping it now.
The truth is out there. I just read what you wrote, Largo. The pancakes are so good because I secretly used waffle mix. That's too good. So anyways, waffles or pancakes, let us know in our Discord server, discord.fortiscoregaming.com. There's several ways to support us. You can subscribe to us on Twitch, which helps us out the most. You can go to our Patreon if you want to support us specifically for $1 a month. Or the absolute best way to support us is just talk to your friends about us, get them to come in, hang out with us. We are a gaming community, and join our Discord server and get in on the conversation. We're probably the weirdest bunch of people. Our Discord server is actually growing pretty fast now.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of new faces in there, so I'd love to see you guys in there as well. I am Frosthaven, and I was with Largo.
Ahoy, ahoy.
And, of course, the Utility Man.
Don't ever make another Superman 64, please.
Please,
Yeah,
no.
Look, in the place we can make Waffle Man 64. It'd be all right.
Yes, Waffle Man 64. We'll see you next week.
The second cousin to Pepsi Man. See you, dudes.
You really want to get some waffles, don't you, everyone? This is not a subliminal message.
Waffles.
Pancakes!